everyone, welcome back. If you are new here, welcome. Come on in, it's room for you. Come on, grab a seat, make sure you have your tea, and enjoy the vibes. If you clicked on this video, you obviously seen the thumbnail and you seen the title, and you know today I'm going to be doing a pick a card reading. In case you're somebody who is new to this, you literally just go through and see what picture, number, imagery, wording, whatever just kind of resonates to you. Just use your discernment which one calls to you. You pick the card and I go through and do a reading for you. This is free, and because it is a general reading, know that sometimes some of the things will not resonate with you. Maybe all of the piles will resonate with you. Maybe it's something that does not pertain to you, at least in the current moment that you're watching this video, but it may in the future. You never know. Time is a construct, so just listen to the message if you're feeling called to it. If this video popped up on your feed and you happen to see it and you just kind of felt called to listen to it, listen to it. You may not need it now, but it may come back to you, it may reflect on you later. With that being said, because this is a general reading, I do have to state this just to kind of protect myself, that all statements made in this video are alleged for entertainment purposes only, that you should not use tarot for any professional advice, whether it is dealing with financial, health, legal. Please contact those professionals, those people who actually practice in those particular fields that you are looking for help on and guidance on, and use your discernment and move forward accordingly. Tarot is not like your crutch, is not your end all be all. So just have to say that to protect myself. So with that being said, I'm now going to give you an opportunity to just kind of resonate with what pile works for you. Picked a card that you resonate with yet? Good. Let's get into this. Starting with pile 1, you have the anchor, stability, number 16. It shows a red door with a yellow anchor on it, yellow doorknob, and a yellow mailbox or slot. For pile 2, you have a feather. It says messages. It shows a number 7, and it kind of looks like a feather laying on desert sand. And then we have number 41, but this card comes up in reverse. It says lightning disruption, and it shows a picture of a plane wing, kind of look like it's going into free fall almost, as a lightning storm is going on in the back. All right, we're going to get into pile 1. So pile 1, I'm going to move your card here off to the side because that is the overall messaging here for you. That is the sign that you probably need to be looking out for. It could be a red door. It could be a little anchor. It could be that stability is a big factor in your life right now. It could be housing. It could be you need something to kind of like keep you tethered in the storm, whatever the case may be. But we're going to get into this and see what the tarot cards have to say about your messaging on what needs to be healed for you. So I'm trying to get in the habit of not bending my cards by putting my knuckles in the middle of them. So it looks a little weird, and I am a little awkward with it right now because I'm trying to take better care of my cards. So yeah, for somebody, I just felt like I should mention that for somebody be in the comments like, why she looks weird shuffling her cards. Yeah, I'm just changing it up. So I'm just going to take note like I would do in of my other readings. We have the 7 of Cups. We have the 3 of Swords. We have the 19 Shams, which is the Sun in this deck. You also have the Eight of Cups in reverse. And then you also have the Alchemist, which is the Magician in this deck. But let's see here. Okay, so these two kind of wanted to come out. Yeah, heartbreak or sadness, something not going quite the way you want it is something that's coming through loud and clear, Power One, even from the other cards. They didn't stick. This is giving real dark night of the soul up in here. And I'm just looking for one more tarot card to kind of give me the ending message here. And there we go. We have the Ace of Coins in reverse. So make sure this is all on the screen for you. So pile one, you have the Five of Cups, which shows a young woman at a desk. Three of the cups, teacups are on the floor. They're broken, they're cracked, and two are on the table, still whole and assembled, but she's sad. Then you have number 18, the Kamar. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. And it shows like a wolf, two wolves looking out over the sea with the crescent moon, very bright, vibrant in the background. You have the Three of Cups in reverse, and it shows three women under a scarf, I guess you can kind of say. They're dancing in the dark. The moon is full, and they're amongst like lightning bugs. And then you have the Ace of Coins, and it shows someone holding a pretty large coin here in a garden, which speaks to, you know, kind of new beginnings. But this is in reverse. So there's obviously something here that you're feeling you can't start, or you aren't starting because you're still hung up on what could have been, what should have been. Maybe it's something that you're not, of course, obviously it's something you're not seeing right now with the number 18, the Kamar, the moon. Usually the moon speaks to things that are quite not what they seem, that are hidden from us, that are unknown, the secretive. It speaks to that kind of energy. It also kind of speaks to that feminine energy as well. So with you also having this moon in between the cups cards here, it shows that there's a lot of emotional volatility. The moon is controlling your emotions. You're kind of, what you don't know or what you think it should be is kind of controlling your emotions and dictating what it should be. And it's funny, you also do have the anchor, so with the stability. So there's something here where you kind of need to even kilter or balance out kind of like your emotional instability here, in order for you to kind of jump into the Ace of Coins. I think there is something here also with the Three of Cups. Usually three speaks to, like, you know, three's a crowd or something like that. But to me, with the Three of Cups coming up in reverse, it usually speaks to kind of like not isolation in a sense, but kind of like not wanting to reach out to people, not willing to work with others. Maybe you don't do well working with others. That kind of energy is kind of what I'm getting. Also with this Ace of Coins here, again, you're not able to continue and move forward to work on what you need to because you're steady focused on how something should be. I think you're probably someone who's really concerned, and this could be a lot of us because I'm even the same way. You manifest and you ask, you want something to go a certain way, but because it didn't appear in the way that you wanted, you reject it, you turn it away, and you're kind of like not appreciative of what was brought to your door. You can't ask for something and you didn't put any specifics on it. You just asked for this specific thing to happen, but you didn't say specifically how you wanted it to happen, how you wanted it to come to you. That's one thing I usually try to tell people. If you're manifesting something, just don't say, oh, I want a boyfriend. Okay, no, I want a boyfriend who is well-mannered, who is entrepreneurial, who is, I don't know, who has a beard, who's family-oriented. Put some specifics on it. Just don't Say, this is what I want. And then you're just wondering why you're getting all these like willy-nilly man that's walking into your life. That's what you asked for. You put no specifics on it. You just said you wanted a man. So the universe brought you a man. Probably not the man you wanted because you didn't specify. So intentions matter sometimes, but sometimes you do have to put specifics on it because the universe can be quite the jokester. Okay. So that's what this is kind of giving. But let's see. Let's get into this some more. Look, I just said I'm trying to not do it with the knuckles, and I just did it. Bad habit to break, isn't it? Yep. Okay, 1 second. So with the on top of the Five of Cups, you have radical curiosity, and this shows like a child sitting in, or a fairy kid sitting in a tree with kind of like a flute. Go back to the beginning. Yeah, that's the messaging I'm getting for you. Go back to the beginning. The number 2 reads radical. This card reads radical curiosity, seeing as if for the first time every time. You know, children are wide-eyed creatures and they're like, they'll ask you every question in the book. What's this? What's that? Why do it do this? Why do you do that? Why do you say that? They're very curious and they approach the world with very open and very openly and very naively. Then you also have the card number 43, which reads to inner life. I got to flip this around because it's too small for me to read. It says, your inner life is a garden to be cultivated. And this shows like a elderly woman, kind of like in the ether, sitting with kind of like a divinatory globe in her lap as well. And it shows like, it looks like a galaxy. She's holding the galaxy in her hands. But with this coming up in reverse, it's kind of like you, again, the best way I can explain this, what I'm seeing in my mind's eye is like, oftentimes you hear people all the time say, manifest what you want, manifest what you want, you got to manifest it. But it's like, okay, you manifest it and eventually your dreams can come reality, but sometimes you have to work for it. Sometimes you have to really keep your eyes peeled for the signs so you're not overlooking and missing the subtle ways that the universe is trying to send you those messages or is trying to help you get over it. I think there's something here. Of course, yes, there's some healing here because the best way I can put it is that power one, you've been burnt in some kind of way, whether it's romantically, if it was, some emotional situation with your family, if it was something with work, if it was, something with how you hoped and wished for your life to turn out. And you're kind of like mourning what you lost or what you thought it should be. And it's like, okay, mourn it. I guess you can mourn it, yes, cry about it, but eventually you're going to have to move on and you're going to have to eventually realize that the universe is telling you, hey, your life is supposed to be like this right now because we're trying to set you up for something else in the future. But until you open your eyes, until you start taking in the messaging, the lessons around you, even the hard ones, the harsh ones, it can help pay off in the long run. But you have to approach it with that radical curiosity. You have to approach it with openness. You can't be closed off to it. And right now, you're closed off to hearing what the universe has to say to you right now. Maybe you don't believe in it. Maybe right now you're just not ready to hear it. But that's what I'm getting. With this inner life here on top of the moon card as well. Yeah. It's saying like you aren't controlling your emotions are controlling you. Okay, the way that just came right on out for the Three of Cups, we have creative power. And the creative power is shows a pregnant woman in a swirl, and it shows release your alchemical energy into the world. And that's literally what it is, creative power. even though this shows like a woman, yes, she's creating life within her womb, but like I usually tell people, on with the Empress card, the Empress card doesn't always mean, when you see it, you see most often people show it with like a lot of fertility. A lot of people just think of pregnancy. It doesn't always mean that. Sometimes it's literally talking about the birth of something, the beginning of something, the creation of something, the nurturing, the growing of something, a seedling. It doesn't always have to be something with fertility. I know this oftentimes where people mind jump to, but doesn't always speak to fertility. Sometimes it could literally be speaking to like right now you are in the process, alchemical process, so to speak, of um yes, you're pressure is being applied to you right now. You are cold. Pressure is being applied. But eventually, once we put enough heat to you, you can turn out to be a diamond. But you're going to have to go through this pressure right now. And I know it's not going to feel nice. It's going to feel very uncomfortable. But usually, sometimes that's when the best things happen to us, is when we're in those uncomfortable positions, because now you're forced to kind of like um, introspect, to be inverted and look at yourself and figure a way out of it. That's when your best light shines. When you're forced to kind of like figure some things out. But I see why you have the anchor and stability here. It's kind of like the universe is saying, hey, I got you. But you need to trust the process. You just need to go through this. Whatever this is, you need to go through it. Okay. And then the last card for you, for at least from the Lantern Oracle, you have number 7, Distorted Perceptions. And it shows um, a young lady, I would assume, and with turquoise hair, a lace top, and it looks like it's a chaos of like feathers and paint around her. And it's kind of, parts of it has morphed into her skirt, it looks like, to me. And the card reads, reality is rarely what we are raised to believe it is. This is a lot about shaping your reality power. That's what most of this reading is for you. Shaping your reality. Are you really the master um, of your destiny? Are you really the creator of your destiny? Are you really taking things by the horns and controlling and steering the ship? Or at this point, is it that maybe you have been to controlling and now you're in the eye of the hurricane and it's just like, let it go. Let the waves drift you and carry you onwards instead of fighting it. You're using way too much energy trying to fight it instead of just letting it happen. And it's also funny to me because this is just something I pointed out. Um, for the second card, 43, in her life, she's holding this like orb, it's the galaxy, but then it's like it's been absorbed. And then you go into card number 12, the creative power, where she's like swollen with life, with ideas, with the creation. You get what I'm saying? You can't change this is gonna sound weird when I say it, but I feel like it's just the messaging that needs to come out. You can't change your surroundings, but you can change the way you look at it. Um, I don't know why this example came to mind, but like, are you looking at a forest fire? Or are you looking at a controlled burn, like an agricultural burn, fire? This stuff has to be raised to the ground in order for the new things to come up, to be fertilized by the ashes of the old. That's the best example I can give right now. You can't control your outlook, how you see things. You can change and shape how you see things, but it's not going to actually change the reality that obviously something is on fire in front of you. Or is it? So I know So then we have explore your ancestry. Again, this speaks to me. So let me explain this one. So this card is number 13. And this is from the mystical healings deck. And she's balancing. I don't know if you can see that. It's so small. Like, I'm gonna have to clear this up. Hold on. Okay, can you see that? Like, she's balancing on an egg and it looks like it has the number 6 on it. So bring this back into focus. There we go. So it's like she's balancing on this egg and it's number 6 on it. And then you also see like there's some hidden numbers here on the arrows. Let me clear this up again for you so you can see. On the passageway where it's telling her to go discover something, you see like there's some numbers, but it's kind of like obscure. But you also see it's numbers back here in the background on the gears. And the gears are controlling her. Obviously, the gears are controlling her because they have strings. She has strings on her like she's a puppet. And it's just, to me, it always speaks, when I see this card, it always speaks to like, how do you know where you're going until you know where you came from? Like, obviously, your past shapes your future. When I hear, even though it says explore your ancestry, yeah, it could speak to like, hey, know your roots, know again where you're coming from. But it's usually just, to me, points out like, hey, your past can really, um, I want to use the word like predict or premeditate like your future. It can really determine your future if you allow it. And I think that may be what's coming up for you, Power One. Like, stop letting your past predict your future. Okay, and so then we actually have the number 6 here. It's funny, she was balancing on an egg that says number 6, and then you actually get the number 6 in this day, which says contemplate death and beyond. So again, I'm just going to describe this one. It looks like I don't know what the gender of this person is, but this person is holding, the typical Pope fingers. They got like some little neck adornment on them with the dove and stuff on their head. So it speaks kind of like enlightenment, things happening. This person is also holding a key, but with this whole neck adornment, kind of looks like they're in a what they call them, the stocks they will put on people's neck, and it will have your hands in it. I forget what they call it. I think it is like the stocks, and they would put your hands and your head in there, and you would kind of like be on display. You typically see it in Wild West movies. It's like, okay, and those moments of pain, those moments where you kind of like stuck, you're forced to face things. It kind of gives me hangman energy. You're forced to kind of like see things for what they are. You're forced to be enlightened. This woman in the previous card where it says explore your ancestry, know where your past is to know where you're going in the future. Know that you're balancing, like hardship is something obviously that you have a hard time dealing and balancing with. Like, this is something that may be coming up time and time again for you. And maybe for a lack of a better word, you failed it in the past. Are you going to pass it this time? Are you still going to see things for what they are? Are you still going to just let things happen to you? There's definitely some enlightening, some truth, some shaping of perception that's going on for you, Power One. And then you step into the unknown here. And this is a woman adorned in robes, and she's kind of like stepping into another, I guess you can say, like, um, plane, I guess you can kind of say. She's coming alive from like the paper, from schematics, into like stepping into real life here. And again, the key is being carried onward, stepping into the unknown. Are you afraid of taking a step forward or moving forward, like you're regretting a previous decision? Again, with the Five of Cups. You're regretting a previous decision you made, and now you're kind of like burned from it. So now you're afraid of making any action. So now you're inactive. Um, Once again, just kind of like letting life happen when you should be controlling it more, or at least just being aware, and or like stepping fully into your body and being aware of the of where this journey is taking you. It kind of feels like you're trying to dissociate essentially from your body. Your soul is trying to dissociate from your body at this point, from whatever this decision, this wrong decision, this hurt is that you are coming away from. You, I don't think you're seeing it clearly that maybe it needed to happen. Maybe it was for the best. Maybe you seen it coming, but you was steady trying to make something happen that shouldn't have been happening. Stop trying to make that happen. And then we're going to get a parting message here for you. And this could be some possible actions that you need to take in order to deal with this heartbreak, to heal and move forward from this inaction that you're in, this stale activity energy that you're in. Um, Potentially open your mind to options and the signs that's clearly here for you. So you have the detective. Again, that radical curiosity is what's coming up again. Explore your options, look into different things. Maybe look into why certain things were happening to you. You also have the messenger. Maybe you need to open your ears to certain things that people are telling you as well. Hold on, let's move this over because I want to get one more card for you. One more action card that you could potentially do in your healing journey here, Power One. But I want to get this other card out for Power One for you all. Okay, that's way too many, but we are going to note these. So you do have the free spirit. And it shows a woman and kind of like, if you've never seen this book, it's kind of like, it reminds me of Animorphs. Like she's partially transforming into a bird. And then you also had the protector, and it shows like a mask with the woman. Kind of makes me think of Nyx dancing in the night, like some Greek painting of Nyx. And then you also have the priestess. And this again shows another woman with like a nice big headdress adornment. And I want to say, is that a fan and a large amulet around her neck? Speaks to the priestess. But let's see, one more. Oh, this was it. You have the resolute, and this gives me indigenous woman vibes or something like that. It reads the resolute. She has a big headdress on with like the feathers in it and all the diamondry, kind of the like the gypsy look. And then you also have the messenger. She has the wings helmet on. You kind of see Vlad the Impaler's castle in the background. I'm just kidding. But it is like some castle on a hill, kind of like Hogwarts kind of imagery. Um, we're just kind of sitting back there in the dark, and it's some people on the hill. And then the detective, you have a face just kind of like floating out in the galaxy, with this kind of like partial curtain over one side of his face. So again, to me, going back to the detective, it just speaks to that radical curiosity card we got earlier from the Lantern Oracle here, just to kind of remind you, but that childlike curiosity of maybe there's certain things out here that you are not looking at, that you're not paying attention to, that you are not being active and searching and looking for. To me, this just kind of feels like your life purpose, or what you believe your life purpose is changing. It's a shift now. Like, okay, universe was like, okay, well, we let you kind of go out here and do what you wanted to do, but now you need to do what we really need you to do, the real work. But we can't do that if you're not going to be an active participant in this whole situation. If you're not going to actually go out here and do the work and look and be involved and participate Be a part of the group project. Don't be the person in a group project who don't do anything. You have everybody else pulling their weight. That's what it's giving. This is a group project that you have to do with you, yourself, and your higher self, and your spirit team, and the universe, but you're not pulling your weight. You're refusing to do the work. You're refusing to come to the table. You're not coming to the meetings at the library. You're not doing your portion of the job. You're too busy concerned about, I need to pull everything and I need to do everything. That's not your job. That's not what we gave you. That was not your responsibility in this group project. That was sources or the divine or the creator's portion of this project to do, not yours. Concern yourself with what you need to do. Your higher self is going to do this, is going to do the research, is going to help lay it out. All you need to do is color in the lines. Just follow. Just follow. We got the hard work. We're going to do the heavy lifting. All you need to do is trust in us, and we're going to get an A on this project. That's it. That's what it's giving. That was the best summation of this whole reading that I could give. So it's not so much of a healing message for you, but maybe just something that you needed to hear, Pile One, of just like, stop crying over spilled milk and clean the milk up and come to the table. Come back and return to the table to us, because we got more milk. We got more milk. We're still gonna add it to this coffee or this tea, whatever you like. Sweeten it to how you like. You're gonna drink it. We're gonna have a good conversation, and we're gonna move on. But we need you to do the group project with us, because we cannot do it ourselves. Okay? Okay. So that's the message I got for you, Pile One. Wishing you luck with that. If you like this reading, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more readings like this, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see the next time I upload. With that, I'm going to move on to Pile Two. See you there if that resonated with you. If not, thank you for staying tuned and watching this message, and I will see you in the next video. All right. Hello, Pile Two. Again, you have the number 7, Feather Messages, and I'm going to be doing a reading on you all for what healing messages you need to hear. So with that being said, let's get straight into this tarot. I'm going to take your card and move it off to the side, because as I stated for Pile One, this is kind of like the overall energy or message sign that you really need to hear, Pile Two. But let's get into this tarot. And I'm trying to get used to shuffling cards without putting my knuckles in the back of them, because I really want to take care of my cards. I mean, these cards are not cheap. These decks are not cheap, okay? So I'm just really trying to take care of them. So I'm going to probably look a little awkward shuffling them. Okay. Those who chose Pile Two, what message are they not hearing? They're not paying attention to in order to heal. Because we got messages here. What message? Okay, so we have the Ashikan. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly as well. This is number 6. It speaks to the lovers, obviously, because it shows a man and a woman. They're laying out on some pillows. You have the angel wings glowing in the back. You have the light showing over a field. Kind of gives me Edward Cullen, Bella Edwards. Or right, is that her last name? No, Bella Swan energy here. I'm just waiting for the guy to start sparkling or whatever. And then you also have the 4 of coins, and this shows a man with a treasure box, and he's like hovering over it, trying to keep it to himself, like he's like hoarding it. And it's still like he's like on a balcony of like a castle, and you see off into the distance, you see like dilapidated buildings, like the village isn't that rich, like he's like hoarding all of it for himself. Okay, so I'm going to take note of these because this is just too much. You have the Four of Cups, you have the Seven of Swords in reverse, you have the Malika of Staves, and then you have the Nine of Staves. Can we just get two more cards here for Pile 2? And what message are they refusing to hear right now in order to heal? What message is Pile 2? Ooh, not kind of these two. Let's see. We have, well, that Four of Cups is definitely coming out. That Four of Cups says you are going to pay attention to me. And obviously, there is a message you are not wanting to listen to here with the Four of Cups in reverse. And it shows a young man kind of like sitting down in front of a long carpet runner with like four pots piled of like, is that rice or gold? I think it's food because it looks like steam is coming off of it. Like, I don't want that. And then you also have the Five of Coins. And this shows like a gate closing on like a woman wrapped in a robe, and she's kind of like walking away, and it looks like it's cold. You know, desert cold ain't no cold to mess around with. People be wanting to talk about Arctic places, but the desert, when the temperature drop, that ain't no cold to play around with either. It's open, wide open space. Now that I have described the card so you know what you have, I'm going to get into the messaging here. So obviously, and I'm surprised that you're listening to me right now, Pile 2, there's obviously a messaging here that you have been ignoring, you have not wanted to hear, and it's caused you to be closed off. That's the nicest way to say it. With the Ashakan here, the lovers, it doesn't always speak to, oh, there's a specific loved one that you're not listening to, like a husband, a wife, a partner, significant other, blah, blah. This usually the lover speaks to when you are not in alignment with oneself, when your mind is doing one thing and your body is doing another. You are physically reacting this way, but you emotionally feel another way. Like it's speaking to that not being in alignment with each other. With the Four of Cups, this usually speaks to, the best way I can kind of put it is like kind of like hoarding, being selfish, penny pitching kind of behavior. So it's probably something you have not wanted to kind of like put your time, your money, your energy into. You have been kind of like withdrawing from it. You haven't wanted to do it. Kind of reads to some deficiency that you are having here. And with the Four of Cups is just kind of continuing that of like, hey, I haven't, I don't want to do this. It's probably going to take too much work. It's probably going to take too much energy. I don't like it. I don't care for it. It's not what I want. So I'm not going to do it. And it's going to lead to your ruin with the Five of Coins here. The Five of Coins speaks to kind of just like, hey, you don't do this work, you don't pay attention, you don't get into alignment soon, you're going to find yourself maybe not destitute, but you're just going to find yourself falling on hard times. Essentially, that's the messaging here. Essentially, okay, you don't want to get in alignment, you want to be stingy about stuff, you don't want to look, you don't want to pay attention, you don't want to put your time and resources into this one thing because it doesn't emotionally make you feel good. You're going to end up being destitute because this is what you should be doing, but you don't want to hear it because it don't feel good or it don't make you look good or whatever the case may be. But let's see here if we can get some more information for you, Pal, too. Sorry, this was like a latent thing that came through. Excuse me. But it kind of seems like you want to live in this sense of delusion, like you kind of don't want to see something for what it is, because right now the way you see it is making you happy. You feel, I don't know, content to be there, and you don't want to kind of like rock the boat. Okay, that's way too many, and the only one I'm going to count here is these two because they actually stuck. I am going to take note of these. So you do have number 22, woman supporting woman. And then you also have 42, home. So let's see. Not going to read those yet. Let me get these other two cards for you. How to. Okay. And we have you. All of your stuff is showing you in the end, like out in the like the desert, kind of like going on your own. But let's go. So you do have number 19, accountability is in reverse, and it shows like a woman at a fork in the road, and she's carrying a like a bucket of rocks essentially on her back. And it reads, responsibility is a gift of love to yourself and others. Mm. You're not wanting to be responsible for something. Then we also have number 30, voice, and it shows kind of like I would say she's kind of like an alien or an ethereal being floating in outer space and kind of like playing this harp. And it reads, you are here to be known, so speak and be seen. So something you are not speaking up about, you are not doing. This speaks to me. This was like could be family or business. All of your cards came up in reverse. What the free? I just noticed that. Okay, so then you have number 35, presence of absence, and it shows an elderly woman at a table in her house. She has pictures all around her of like people she's lost or who kind of moved away. It looked like her husband's portrait is hanging in the background, as if he's passed away. She has like her younger son or maybe her grandson's picture on the table. It looks like the other two pictures that are on the table, they're kind of like Polaroids. It could be her daughter and son, or it could be her daughter-in-law, her son-in-law, whoever. Maybe they moved on and had a family. You know how you kind of start your own family, you forget your original family kind of energy. That's kind of like what this picture depicts. But it reads, hold what is absence in the presence of your love. I think I know what I'm picking up on, pile two. And then you also have number 28, moving forward. The first step is taken within our stillness. And it shows, this person kind of like getting ready to walk out into the unknown of the desert. I don't know when I'm going to see an oasis. I don't know what I'm going to find out here. But the sun is setting. They don't look like they have any water with them, but they do have a companion here because obviously the shadow shows a bird here, maybe an eagle or a falcon, but that did come up in reverse as well. I believe all of your cards came up in reverse. Yeah. So loud and clear what came through for me, pal, too, for you. I don't know. This kind of feels like empty nester syndrome. This could be you have a tough decision to make, as in like maybe you're what they call it, like the sandwich generation person. You are you kind of like set your life up and did this thing. You feel like now is the time that I can enjoy it, but life responsibilities is kind of coming in and hitting you hard, where you have to turn around and be like, okay, well, I also have to raise my parents because their health isn't what it needs to be, but I also have my children or my family that I'm trying to kind of like pick up and raise and care for and get together. And I kind of feel like it's unfair, and it can be a bit unfair, but it's like what do I do? And I don't want to make the decision of doing this. Why does it always fall on me? Like maybe you're the only one who's kind of like responsible or the only child of means to kind of like care and do something, but you also aren't speaking up and kind of demanding certain things to be done as well because you have the voice card here. There's certain things that you aren't saying or you're letting slide or you're not being vocal to who you need to kind of like help you through the situation or who could probably assist you. Maybe you aren't asking for assistance. So people probably think it's fine that you're the only one that's carrying the heavy burden. So, because you haven't said anything, you kind of feel like I have to go it alone. And it could be vice versa of like, because all of this is in reverse, it could be like vice versa of like, now it's time for you to take things up, for you to speak up like, hey, I can help and pitch in more here. You don't have to be the only person that's kind of doing the heavy lifting. I can help as well. But because you're kind of just being very selfish here with this four of coins here, I'm just being very selfish. Um, you're kind of like, cutting everybody short in this situation because I definitely feel like there's other people involved. And I see why you're probably ignoring the message because you're like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to have to deal with that. This is unfair. No. So you have number 35, unlock your hurt, and it shows a young girl on like a toy horse with a ladder, and she's kind of constricted with this ribbon around her here. And again, she's kind of like holding a key. But what good is a key if your arms are tied? Recognize divine timing. And this showcases like a young lady kind of like walking on air. She has a ship on her head of kind of like, okay, progression, moving forward. It's wind in her sails. She has wings on, and she's just kind of like leaving everything up to fate. I trust that, time is going to carry me through. Oh, that was quick. And then we also have release your fear. And this shows a woman partially or a person partially hidden behind a door with kind of like their like a blindfold on, but the eye is kind of cut out. Unlock your heart and release your fear here. Um yeah, I think there's definitely a fear or a concern of stepping up to the plate is the best way I can kind of say it for you, pal, too. I think you're afraid of stepping up to the plate. I think you're afraid of taking responsibility. I think you're afraid of having to kind of like go it alone, take up the lift. I think you're afraid of responsibilities. I think you like to shirk them a lot. And but in this case, it's like, okay, if you don't take up this responsibility, you're gonna regret it. You're going to regret it with this five of coins here. If you don't, and it could just be something as simple as not you're gonna miss out on like a family fortune, but maybe you're gonna miss out on quality time to spend with this person. Maybe you're gonna miss out on because to me it just feels like this is something like a situation where someone, I don't want to say, it's kind of like someone is leaving. I don't know. In a sense, it's just what I'm getting, what I'm feeling is like someone is leaving, whether they're going to another country, another state, another plane dimension, whatever the case may be. They're ready to progress and move on with their life. And you are going to regret it if you don't spend time with this person, if you don't tell them your side of things, if you don't lay your cards out on the table and just say it with your whole chest. You are going to regret it. Because you're going to miss out on maybe something that you needed to hear, or maybe that you didn't want to hear, but this is going to help you kind of like let go. Maybe you're going to miss out on quality time with this person. Maybe you are going to miss out on some kind of like fortune, whether it's, you know, monetary or just emotional, or gaining a forever friend, whatever the case may be. It just feels like you're afraid to kind of like put that time in. You're shirking your responsibility here. You are not wanting to hold space and step fully into what you are supposed to be doing here, pile two. That is the messaging you're afraid of. Let's see if we can get some clarifying cards here, some actions you can do. So you have the Traveler, and this shows a young woman again, kind of dressed slightly provocatively with kind of like the silhouette dress with it laying off of her shoulders with the scarf headdress. You see the world behind her. And this reads card number 49, just in case if you want the number, if numerology is a big thing for you. Okay, we're going to take note. You have the number 13, the ruler in reverse. You have number 10, the butterfly, sorry, in reverse. You also have number 52, the escapist in reverse. And lastly, you have the Sybil, number 5 in the upright. Let's see here. Okay, so then you also have the number 18, the initiate. And this shows a young woman. I want to say she kind of like out in a swamp or something like that. It looks like a willow tree was behind her, and she's just kind of like staring out lustfully. And then lastly, you have the empath, number 26. And this shows a woman with a bird in her hand. The rainbow is behind her. That's again that spiritual level up. There's a lot of spiritual underlying spiritual current with your reading pile too. There's something here where there's a spiritual leveling up that you need to do. Maybe there's some spiritual work that you need to do. Maybe this is calling you to kind of get in and again spend time with that person, have that heart to heart with this person, take up that responsibility that you need to do. You kind of, again, harkening back to pile one, it kind of has something similar where you have to take responsibility. You have to be in control of your life. You have to take the wheel. You can't just leave it up to the universe or whatever to kind of just steer you in the right direction. You have to be the captain of your destiny. So just don't go off a blind faith all the time, just stepping out there. There's some work. Where pile one felt like they were being too controlling of life, pile two, you kind of feel like you are very hands off and just letting things happen to you. You're not wanting to take responsibility. You're not wanting to do the work. You don't want to care. You don't want to have to do the practice. You don't want to have to do the prayer or anything. Like, it just seems like you don't want to do any of the work in order to kind of like get to that next level. That's the healing message I got for you, pal, too. And it's like, you can have the world. You have to, kind of like, not that you have to travel, but you kind of like have to open your worldview. Need to kind of step into this fully. You just can't expect everything to kind of fall in your lap. And maybe it's hard because it seems like, again, everything else is probably falling into your lap. Or maybe you feel like right now it's just unfair if you have to kind of pick up responsibility right now because you want to have a moment to where you can just have fun and be free and stuff like that. But it's like, nope, now playtime is over. It's time to kind of buckle down and get serious, and start taking those steps that you need to in order to kind of like take the baton and run with it. So yeah, that's what I'm getting for you, pal, too. For some of you, I think this may be dealing with or involving a loved one. Some of you, I think this is some spiritual awakening that you're going through, some initiation that you're dealing with, and you kind of need to tap in. So yeah, that's the messaging I'm getting for you, pile 2. Hopefully this helps you. Maybe hopefully this confirms some things for you, point you in the right direction. Because I'm simply the messenger. That's it. So with that, pile 2, hopefully you like this reading. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more readings like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you know the next time I upload. And with that, I thank you for coming on in, for allowing me to deliver this message, for you sticking through to the end. And if you resonate with pile 3, I'll see you on over there. If not, if this is where you leave us, thank you again, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. All right. Lastly, getting back to you, pile 3, number 41. Yours was the only one that came up in reverse, but I think that's a good thing because it speaks to disruption. So you don't want things to disrupt you right now. But I think there is a lot of things going on in your life where you feel like you have to kind of weather the storm. Maybe you got a lot of fair weather friends or whatever the case may be. And you feel like, oh, I got to go out here alone. I don't have a crew. It's just me and the passengers at this point. But let's get into this. Pile 3. So I'm just going to move this off to the side. As I stated for the other 2 piles, this is pretty much kind of going to be your overall messaging here. So we want to keep that on the table to guide us through. I hate when that happens, when it kind of just gets stuck. Let's see here. What? So, pile 3, you had 3 cards come out at once. So you have the Alchemist, number 1 in reverse, which is pretty much the Magician. Then you also have the Taslim, which is number 12, which speaks to the Hanged Man. And then you also have the Shah of Staffs, which is essentially the King of Staffs or Wands, however you want to look at that. And I'll explain the pictures in just a second. I just want to see what this last card is going to be for you, pile 3. Ooh. One second. I'm going to get one more card describing what this disruption. Yeah, you're going to hear puppers in the background. What is causing disruption? Okay, that was way too much. I'm not even going to note these. This is way too much. This is basically half the deck, it feels like. Okay, so I shuffled for some time here for you, pile 3, and nothing else really wanted to pop up. So I'm taking it as a sign that you are supposed to only get these 3 cards here. So going into explaining kind of the imagery of each card. So again, with number 1, with the Alchemist, which is the magician in this particular deck, it shows a young man studying at his deck. It shows kind of like the what is that? Is that Venus, Mercury, Mars? I think maybe is that Neptune, Pluto in the background, kind of like behind him, Venus. So it's supposed to be dictating kind of like all of uh the like the main planets that kind of like control a lot of our astrology that deals with the the underlying layers of what kind of builds us. It also shows kind of the infinity symbol here with the papers floating in the air. He's focusing on a candle, just kind of like reading over something. And then you have the Taslim, which is supposed to be the hanged man. And you know, kind of like how we used to hang over jungle gyms when you were little, you'll kind of like bend your legs over and just kind of like let your head hang free. But it's also raining. So maybe he's taking shelter. He kind of looks like what is those? You ever seen the show Subumafu? I'm forgetting what he is right now, but he looks like those. And then you have the Shah staffs simply sitting in a chair, like a woven chair in a picture frame, holding a staff, but it has flames coming out the top of it. But all of this is coming up in reverse, which can be concerning. But again, you also had disruption, the lightning coming up in reverse. So typically the alchemist speaks to the kind of like you being driven, you being focused on something, you kind of like being studious in a way, creating. But with this coming up in reverse, it makes me feel like maybe you are allowing things to disrupt your life. You're being easily distracted. Maybe you're being probably manipulative here. Is he causing the papers to float in the air, or is that just caused by the universe? It just kind of speaks to that. And it also has a yellow on him as well, so it kind of speaks to that student energy, that younger energy. But to me, it just kind of feels like you're being easily distracted. There's a lot of noise going on around you that's making it hard for you to concentrate. Also, going into number 12 here with the hanged man or the taslim, usually this speaks to kind of like looking at something in a different perspective. You need to change the way you look at something. But this to me shows, because if you're already distracted, you're not being studious, you're not paying attention, is that you obviously are being too focused on something and not focusing on what you need to. You're kind of just like, you're allowing the distractions to kind of come into your life and keep your attention averted. It's kind of like, the best way I could explain it in my mind's eye is like, okay, say right now you're on YouTube and an ad pop up, and instead of you finishing this reading, you click on the ad because you want to know what the ad is about. Now you're going down a wormhole of like, okay, now I done clicked on this ad. Who made this product that I clicked on this ad for? Who's the person, the actor or something like that, who read the ad line or whatever? Like, who was the company who created? Now you're going down a rabbit hole about all this other stuff. Who came up with the idea for the ad? It's like you're allowing distractions in. You just keep getting deterred at every corner, and you're not focusing on the passions that you need to be. Because usually when I see staffs, the wands, it's kind of like, what's that fire under your butt that pretty much drives you? What gets you out of bed every day is what it gives me. And it also speaks to just kind of like being very impulsive. You're being very ineffective in your approach, obviously, because you're distracted. You're allowing everything else to kind of like take you away. It's kind of like if you were somebody, I don't know how many of you have took up like, I know for me, for example, I've had to do a research class when I was in college. It was like part of your credits. It was a mandatory class we had to take, or at least I had to take. You had to take research because it's like, okay, well, If you don't know how to research, how could we even trust you to kind of like be a journalist? If you can't research, how can we trust you to come up with a scientific thesis? If you can't research, how can we trust you to read over business models or whatever? Like, I think pretty much at my school that I went to, everyone had to take it because it was like the basis of your entire educational track, your education track. So it's just kind of like, okay, you get in there, you say, oh, well, I want to research how many people click on specific QR codes. Instead of you going in and researching the people, what QR codes people are clicking on, you getting distracted and you're becoming a part of the scientific project now because you're looking at, oh, what's all the different QR codes that pop up? Oh, they can look like this. You can add borders to it. You can put logos in them. You can make them circular. You can make them square. Like, you're being distracted. You see how a tangent I just went on? I'm in your energy right now, file 3. This is giving ADHD. You are a researcher who has become a part of the research that they're supposed to be doing, file 3. You are very distracted, and I don't. Okay, here we go. Milton Mass. Number 16, and it shows just kind of like a floating head essentially out in the clouds and the ether. And it says, allow your spirit self to shine through many roles you will fulfill. Somebody is afraid of shining. Somebody is afraid of showing their true self. Then you also have number 33, and it shows like a group of women. 3 of them could be like in maiden age. You have an elderly woman who could be like the grandmother, and it's 3 boys in the back. It almost look like they're on a picnic. And it says, there is giving and receiving and receiving and giving. Why are you afraid of showing who you truly are? This is giving very young person energy here. Like high school, middle school. Like, I'm afraid to show who I really am. I'm afraid to really be who I want to be. So I'm, let's see here. And then you also have key to intimacy in reverse, and it reads, intimate love is a core need to be met in relation to ourselves and those closest to us. The journey to intimacy often includes learning what love is not. And again, this comes up in reverse, and it shows a woman holding a heart-shaped lantern walking through the dark. I don't know. For somebody, the messaging I'm getting, especially with this key of intimacy landing on the shot of staffs, also a little bit with the hanged man and the alchemist here. Well, a lot of this. I'm just gonna say all of it. The messaging for some of you reads to, okay, this is not made for kids. So any kids, please leave the room. Giving you a minute. Okay. Okay, the kids are out. Okay, good. This kind of speaks to somebody who is going through a renaissance when it comes to their bedroom activities. Is that how I can say? Maybe you have encountered someone who who's introduced you to something new, and maybe previously you've always thought it was something wrong or something embarrassing or something that wasn't appropriate or that was weird to do, but maybe they kind of like put you onto it, and now you're like, is it bad? Is it wrong that I like this? Like, this feels awesome. But you maybe feel shameful about it. That's kind of like the energy I'm getting here. So you're kind of trying to like, you're scared to participate in behavior again because you're nervous. You're like, what is this? That's kind of like what I'm getting here. I don't know if that's true for some of you, but that's part of it. Again, the other part of this is that this is someone here who is obviously a novice, or you're learning something new. You're a novice here, you're learning something new. Your tutelage, you're a student, and because you feel like you can't live up to it, or maybe you're afraid that it's something that you would be good at, and you don't want people to kind of like look at you weirdly, or kind of like hold you on a pedestal or shun you, or whatever the energy may be. You are allowing yourself to be distracted. You're kind of like failing on purpose or something like that. It's kind of like what I'm getting. Let's see if we can get some more clarity here. That was just too much. I do have to note, when the cards fail, it knocks this card off the other pile, but this was on top from pile 2. So let's see here. Let's try this again. You are being initiated into something. You are being a student. Your eyes have been opened to something here. That's for sure, pile 3. That's something that's coming up here. That's the healing message. It's coming up for you. This is basically a confirmation for you. Like, yep, this is happening. And maybe you should explore it. Show self-respect. And on this card, it shows like, I'm gonna say, a young man in a red robe floating with, kind of like the sun behind his head. He's holding some kind of paper, and then again, he's holding like the holy scepter. So I gotta keep my word because my dog will hurt me. So I gotta wrap this up. Sorry, I probably cut yours a little short, pile 3, because it's past Pupper's bedtime and he gets cranky with me. So then you also have assess clear thinking, and this shows just a bunch of puzzles and mazes. It's a woman in a blue robe, wrapped in white linen, and with like a yarn ball in her hand, and you can see a depiction of a maze on the wall behind her, and then beyond the wall you'll see the checkered flooring that's leading out into a garden maze. So obviously there's some confusion here. For some of you who are dealing with the bedroom activity awakening here, that could be a confusing thing when you're kind of stepping into that, and you're discovering things about yourself you didn't know, or that you thought was wrong, and you're like, oh. And so then you also have listen to your intuition. And this is a woman in a blue and white dress, observing some birds, are kind of like getting ready to take flight. So again, this could speak to, especially with the coloring here, I just had to really point that out because that's jumping out to me. With the red here, that usually speaks to a lot of passion, that speaks to a lot of creative energy, that speaks to a lot of fire, feistiness, kind of like yeah, we'll just say passion. And then you also have the blue here, which makes you think of emotions. It could be an explosion of emotions. This could be the fire that's lighting your emotions and making you think and clearing things up for you, and having you look at things in a different perspective. um and like our emotions and our passions is kind of like baseline. It's kind of like um yeah, they're kind of like the baseline thing that kind of influence everything else that we do. So it's interesting that you have these two come up for you. Some of you, if this initiate thing that's going up, this kind of like student energy that you have, this learning, the step away from distractions, it's basically you need to study. You have a test coming up. I don't know if you're actually a student, but that's what it's giving. You have an actual study coming up. You need to plan accordingly. You have a whether it's a life test or an actual test from your teacher from school that's coming up. There's some kind of test that you have coming up, and if you do not buckle down and be studious about it, same thing for you all who's kind of going through this sexual awakening as well. If you are not sitting down and kind of paying attention to what resonates with you, what makes you feel good, using discernment, making sure it's something that makes you feel respected, it makes you doing this comfortably, consensually, and etc. Yeah, I have nothing else I can really add to that. Are you stepping in with your eyes wide open? Is this really something so bad, or do you just think it's something bad because you have been conditioned by society or life or your friends, or you just think it's wrong because it's like, okay, well, I've never heard anybody else talk about it, kind of thing? So let's see if we can get some action cards here for you. Kind of just like moving forward. So what is this one? So we're just going to take note. We have the fortune teller, number 43, and then we also have the survivor, number 35. They had one kind of float off, butterfly off to the side. So it reads the resolute. Funny, was that power one that got this? The resolute, yeah. Kind of just again, the resolute just kind of feels like not letting life happen or just like let things happen to you, but just kind of like accept it. This is what it is. Like you're gonna have to come to terms with it. You like what you like. That you or you know you have a test, a study coming up. You're gonna have to focus. You're gonna have to take charge here. You're gonna have to look inward. You're gonna have to be free to be yourself and stop worrying about what everybody else is gonna say or do. Okay, taking note, you have the initiate that came up for you again. You have the dawn. It's the start of something blossoming here. You also have 44, the grace in reverse. You have 51, the warrior. Ain't that the truth? Not the warrior as in fighting, as in the worry wart. Like you're worrying way too much about what people's gonna say. And then you also have the escapist, a read. I really like when cards read you for Phil. Not you, but like in general, when they just read you for Phil. The teacher. This is giving real student energy. Nobody else is going to be able to teach you what you need to. Okay, taking note, number 47, the angel. Okay. And look at what we have here, the siren. Honey, lean into your sensuality. Someone is being sensually blocked. Your what they call that chakra, your is that the second chakra, your sacral chakra? Tap into that. Tap into that. We're human. We're humans. Own that. This is giving very Venus. Okay. Anyways, let me go ahead and explain the imagery. So if you weren't drawn to pile one, just going back and explaining this, you have number 17, the Resolute, and it shows a woman, maybe kind of like gypsy, maybe. She wearing this headdress with feathers and coins on it, and she's kind of just like staring out into the distance, like whatever comes, comes. And then you have the teacher, which shows, I would say, a woman maybe in her 30s, 40s. She has the snake on her head that usually speaks to wisdom and knowledge as well, if you kind of been in African tradition. And then also the owl, which most people see the owl as kind of like the keeper, the wise one, being able to see out into the future, seeing, being having kind of like having discernment, the teacher. But it comes up in reverse. So to me, this feels like you are going to be your own teacher. You are going to have to explore yourself. You are going, pun intended, you are going to have to um, kind of express and find what works for you. Somebody else cannot tell you what works for you or what's going to make you feel good. You have to kind of figure that out. This is reading real sensual. I'm just going to lean into it fully because that's the siren is what's sealed it for me, and you have it in the reverse. So obviously you're someone who feels like I should not be participating in this. I feel like I shouldn't like it because society has told me to, or culturally I've been told or taught not to, or whatever the case may be, instead of you actually tapping in with what really makes you feel good. And it could just be simply what makes you feel good. It doesn't even have to be in kind of like the bedroom. It could be like what makes you feel good. Do you like spending time by yourself? Lean into that. Do you like getting your nails done? Lean into that. Do you like spending money to get your hair done? Do that. Do you need a spa day? Maybe you can't do it every week or every 2 weeks or every 3 days, but maybe you could do it once a month. Treat yourself. You need to tap into what makes you feel good. And then on the other hand, because this is speaking to disruption, let's not forget that was the overall theme here. You were being distracted, you're allowing things to get in the way. Maybe it's something that you need to be focusing on, but you're allowing materialistic things to get in the way of like, instead of me doing this homework, instead of me writing this, I don't know, thesis, I'm gonna go out with the friends and I'm gonna go party. Instead of me, I don't know, putting this paperwork together for me to own this house or to get affordable housing, I think I'm gonna go out here and I'm gonna go take a joyride or go to this concert that my friend invited me to. Yeah, instead of me using this money to pay my bills and my mortgage, I'm gonna go take a trip because Usher is still performing in Las Vegas and I want to see him. Or Beyonce is gonna be in Houston and I'm about to go blow my money on that instead. Like, it's discernment. Pay attention. But you do have the siren here, which makes me feel like, again, this is leading into that carnal, that sensual, that pleasure here of like, but you have it in reverse. So maybe you've been dabbling too much in your pleasure. Some of you, I feel like, hey, you need to discover your pleasure because you've probably been focusing too much on being studious. And some of you probably need to focus on being studious, but you've been dabbling too much in your pleasure. Like, it could go either way. The siren just really sealed it for me. Like, there's definitely like a sensual pleasure undertone to this reading. And that is your message, pile 3. Sorry, because I forgot, because I went into explaining. The siren obviously is on a rock. It looks like she has like seaweed cloak on her, or like a kelp cloak. Yes, we're doing the SpongeBob references. It's in choppy waters. It's a cliff. You see a castle kind of like hanging off on some ice in the back, and it's a ship with a rainbow kind of pointed at it. And there's also like a seashell descending from the sky. So again, you got this in reverse. And I pretty much summed this up. Some of you, basically, you are being distracted from dabbling in your pleasures, or some of you have been leaning a little too hard and just being all play and no work. It's supposed to be work hard, play hard, or work hard, play harder, but you are just like no work, all play. Or vice versa. I'm not sure, because I feel like some of you you know, some of you was the I'm the worker, and some of you are like, nah, I'm the player. So I had to keep reiterating that because this is a general reading. So yeah, that's what I'm getting for you all, Pile 3. Hopefully this is a confirmation, a message for you that's confirming some things for you for what you need to focus on, what you need to hear, some healing messages. Hopefully this gives you some insight into what to do next, you know, and how to move forward. So wishing you all the best with this, you know, good luck on this journey that you're about to undergo. If you like this reading, make sure to give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more readings like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can see the next time I upload. And with that, I'm going to leave you all with this reading, and I will see you in the next one.